We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. But, Rick, who's to blame for the Cowboys' loss?
Well, I agree with Dak Prescott on one thing. He does have to be better, and that's where I'm going to start. I wanted to go with the offensive line, in part because Mark is there, and I thought he could appreciate that. And clearly the offensive line had issues. They basically short-circuited their first 4 drives with penalties. The run game never got going. I'm going to put a good deal of that on the offensive line because the holes weren't there to be run through. But ultimately, I came back to compensation. And I came back to the idea of you get what you pay for, or at least you're supposed to. And then I started to consider, well, how much does that collective offensive line make versus how much does my quarterback, Dak Prescott, make? And the numbers suggest that I can't put it on the offensive line because I'm paying my quarterback twice as much as the entire offensive line. Now, Dak Prescott wanted the big money. He held out for the big money. He got the big money. But once you get the big money, now you have to deliver like a big money player. And I did not see that in this game. I saw him outplayed by the other quarterback, who as of right now is a $3 million quarterback. Not nearly as experienced as Dak Prescott. So my expectation was, regardless of what's going on with the offensive line, regardless of what's going on with the run game, if you are a $75 million quarterback, then I would expect you to go out and win a game like this. And indeed, he did not. So as much as the proof is there to make the easy argument that it was the offensive line, a $75 million contract, a $70 million quarterback finds a way to win this game.
I can't put this at the feet of one specific player or Mike McCarthy, and I'm not going to give it to the refs or the league for not turning that ball over and making that call. It can't come down to one play in a game like this. The Cardinals were the better team in this game, and if you're really looking at what happened in this game, it should be at the feet of the Cowboys defense. The Cowboys defense is the strength of this team, and they let the Cardinals do what they wanted to do for most of this game. So to me, it's on the Cowboys defense. We know what they came in here with. We know the players that they have, the stars that they have, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. And sometimes you just have a down game. I'm not looking at this as a disaster for the Cowboys. I don't think this was a horrible performance by them overall. And I didn't really learn that much about them as a team. I think this was a much better win for the Cardinals than it was a loss for the Cowboys. But you got to look at what happened with the defense. The Cardinals deserved this game. We can look at one moment or Dak's performance, but at the end of the day, they had more total yards, more rushing yards, more first downs. They had a better third down percentage. They dominated time of possession. They were the better team throughout the game. And Kyler Murray looked like himself again. This was a big win for the Cardinals. They needed this desperately. They needed it more than the Cowboys, if we're going to be honest about it. So if I have to place blame at any one particular group, it's got to be the Cowboys defense. They're the strength of this team. They're the energy of this team. They had huge playmakers, and they didn't do what they've been doing against the Cardinals.
Well, you paid your quarterback, and your quarterback's got to make some plays. And your quarterback has not been the same player since about week 6 when he pulled his calf. He sat out week 7, which was a bye week, missed week 8, has come back, and he has not played well since that time, or consistently since that time. And yesterday was that wasn't a departure. That was the norm for the way he has played since he had that calf injury. Now, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago because I did a Cowboys game a couple of weeks ago. He swore up and down that nothing was wrong, that he was fine, that he was 100%, but you haven't seen him scramble. You haven't seen them use him as much in the red zone in designed run plays. He is not the same player. And the bottom line is, when you're a big-time player, whether you're hurt, whether you're injured, I don't care. You've got to go out and you've got to play well, hurt and injured. If you're good enough to line up, then you're good enough to play well. And regardless of what the situation is, if you're going to sit there and tell me verbatim that nothing is wrong with you, you're 100%, you've never felt better, then you need to start playing better. And you saw him miss multiple receivers. Now, that doesn't mitigate all the other issues going on. The offensive line getting a holding call on the first third down, an offsides or a false start by their center, another holding call by their right tackle, and, mistakes along the way. But the bottom line is this offense has been broken since week 8, and they haven't found a way to fix it as of yet.
Yeah, Joey, I'm going to push back on you on one thing for sure, and that's the idea that this defense is the strength of this team. This is the number 1 rated offense in the entire NFL, or at least it was going into this game. So the fact that the Cowboys defense has overachieved, I agree with you there. And at times this year, because of the struggles, they have looked like the strength of this team and survived because of it. But let's not make any mistake of where the money has been invested, not just with Dak Prescott, but all of the talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball. And again, here's my issue. The game was there to be won in the fourth quarter. And the great Troy Aikman suggested, and at the time, midway through the fourth quarter, when Dak fumbled the ball and it was recovered, he fumbled it 3 times. This is the first time that he lost it. Troy said at the time, that's the play of the game. And he was referring to Isaiah Simmons not only putting pressure on Dak, but then being able to knock the ball out. But that ended up being the turning point of the game because they basically ran out of time as a result of that. So when I put all that together, along with the fact that, yeah, your run game wasn't working, but the Cardinals secondary, Kevin Peterson was making his first start. He was playing in his 3rd game. And the run that they had in the fourth quarter to score was a reflection of exploiting those DBs. And what I saw was a defense by Vance Joseph that it appeared to me that was confusing Dak Prescott. He was struggling to find where he needed to go and what he needed to do. And I will go back to what I started with. For $75 million, I cannot have a quarterback that is confused and unable to exploit DBs.
Well, if they have the number 1 offense in the league, and how is Dak struggling? They couldn't run the ball in this game. We know that Dak is not the type of quarterback that he can have that kind of success without having a balanced offense. He even talks about it. He doesn't want an offense where it's completely reliant on him. So that is why I put it on the defense. Yes, there's plenty of claims to go around.
Joy, it's too late for that. $75 million says that offense is reliant upon you. The salary cap says
you got to
that
pay
offense
for a quarterback.
is reliant upon you.
You have to pay for a quarterback in this league. What, are you not going to pay him?
Sure.
What was their option outside of Dak Prescott?
This option isn't working any better than any other option.
I don't know. They're doing pretty good. They won the division. They're going to be in the playoffs. They have playmakers all over the place.
We can look at the division.
Can we also give the Cardinals a little bit of credit as well? It's not like they went out there and lost to Jacksonville. This is a very good Cardinals team, albeit struggling as of late. But there's some playmakers on the Cardinals as well. Perhaps they were just the better team yesterday.
Okay, why are you defending Dak in this?
I'm not defending Dak. I think there's plenty of blame to go around for everyone. But if I'm looking what happened in that game yesterday, outside of Dak Prescott struggling and them having an absolute incapability of running the ball 45 yards, that's not going to get it done. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals scored more points than the Cowboys. That's why they won. That Cowboys defense is the strength of their team. And we've seen that week after week. They're the ones that are coming up with the turnovers. They're the ones that are keeping them in games. They are a physical playmaking defense. So if I'm going to rely on my strongest units, despite what you're saying about the offense, either Dak's struggling or he's not. So to me, yesterday came down to the defense not making the plays when they needed to.
Well, when you talk about this defense, and they have played outrageously good football, and they have made all kinds of plays across the board. But there is this thing called complementary football, and if that's how you're relying on winning every single game, they're going to come down to games, or they're going to come down times when you're not going to be able to get it done. They're going to make a big play over you. The first 3rd down and 9, where a little double move by A.J. Green over the top of Trayvon Diggs, and bam, you're right down there in field goal range. Now, you don't score the touchdown, but the bottom line is you're first and goal on 3-yard line or 4-yard line. Those things are going to happen when you're gambling as a defense, because why? Why do you gamble? Our offense isn't performing, and they haven't been performing. And you can sit there and point to, hey, man, Smith, our outstanding left tackle, has missed 4 or 5 games. We've had rotation at the left guard position. That's been an issue. Our right tackle has missed some time. We've had receivers miss time. We lost Michael Gallup in that game. We haven't been able to run the ball. I'll even go back even further to when they lost Blake Jarwin, their real wide tight end. Man, they can't establish the end of the line of scrimmage with the tight ends they have. They have a bunch of what we call F tight ends, which are receiving tight ends. So there's a lot of problems on this offensive side of the ball. And here's the bottom line that I think Rick is saying, and that I agree with Rick on, is that they have a lot of problems. When you pay a guy $75 million, dude, you're supposed to cover some warts. You are supposed to be compound W. And right now, you are not compound W. You haven't covered one wart of this offense, why they've gone through these struggles. And that's the problem I have with the Cowboys right now as an offense.
Yeah, look, and it wasn't just, I mean, the numbers look like it's comparable. It looks like he and Kyler Murray had kind of the same game. But if I look at some of the catches made, the receivers, he threw maybe 2 or 3 good balls. Cedric Wilson might have thrown the best pass in the entire game in the fourth quarter. Even the passes that he completed were, the receiver was saving in some of those cases. He had guys wide open he missed. I counted 5 batted passes. I get what you're saying in terms of the value of the quarterback and the situation that the Cowboys found themselves in. But Dak is part of that because Dak demanded a certain amount of money. You need to deliver. If you're going to demand it, then you need to deliver what that money is supposed to buy. And as I look at him, he's a very good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's getting paid like a great quarterback. And a great quarterback finds a way to win a pivotal game like this. Maybe not as important to the Cowboys as the Cardinals, but certainly an opportunity for Dak Prescott to demonstrate that he's in the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady category because he's getting paid like an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady quarterback.
See, I don't put Dak Prescott in the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady category, but the market is what he is. That's why I don't really get too caught up in the money either. There's other intangible values that Dak Prescott brings to the Dallas Cowboys, and that's why he's making the money that he's making. You are what people are willing to pay you, and if you're a quarterback and you are a good quarterback in this league, you're probably going to get paid a lot because you can't win without a quarterback in this league. We are seeing that. We are seeing teams like the Cleveland Browns, who have a great roster, lots of playmakers, stars all over the place, and they can't get it done because of their quarterback. I don't think that Dak is in that space. He's not Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, but who is? Are there that many Aaron Rodgers and Tom Bradys walking around? I don't think so. So there's definitely blame to be given to Dak Prescott in this space. There's definitely blame on the offensive line. The running game was struggling, and for the defense. And sure, you could complain about Mike McCarthy as well. But overall, I don't look at this loss as dramatic as I think everyone is looking at it. Had they beaten the Cardinals convincingly, they would have probably gotten credit for it because it would have been the Cardinals' 4th straight loss. But then they lost to the Cardinals, and now everything's falling apart. But that's what happens when you're America's team.